Good morning, everybody. This is going to be my first video of 2019. How awesome. It's not going to be about panhandlers. We're not going mushroom hunting, and it's definitely not snowmobiling just yet. Nope. Instead, we're going back to court. Back to court, yeah. So I am covering this trial here. It's a lawsuit in Iron Mountain, Michigan, and it is between Superior Chaga, located in Marquette, Michigan, and Yooper Chaga, located in Kingsford, Michigan. It's got to do with copyright. There's a lot of circumstances around this case, and to be honest with you, there's a very strong chance that the defendant won't even show up for his own lawsuit. Now, I already know this defendant is already facing one contempt charge, and as I understand it, they're going to bring up 4 or 5 more contempt charges against him today. Now, this is all around the name Yooper Chaga. Yooper Chaga. It was a product that was being sold by Yooper Chaga. So originally, this person being sued worked for Yooper Chaga, and he left Yooper Chaga and he started his own company, and he called it Yooper Chaga.
But on the record here today is very important. I'm going to ask that you pay very close attention to it. Ms. Anderson?
Thank you, Your Honor. In this matter, in full and final settlement of the allegations contained in the complaint, including defamation and slander, trademark infringement, and tortious interference with a business relationship, the parties have agreed as follows. The monetary damages in this amount will be $37,500 to be paid in monthly installments beginning on February 1st, 2019 through the months of November to April. Those payment amounts will be in the amount of $750 through the months of May.
November to April?
November to April. I know that we're starting in the middle, but the winter months are going to be reduced payment amount. So for this year, it would be February, March, and April, and going forward through the months of November to April. The months of May to October, the payment amount will be $1,200. There will be, those payments will be due on the 1st of every month following February 1st, made payable to Yooper Chaga Connection LLC and sent to their business address. Yooper Chaga Connection LLC, has agreed to a 5-day grace period to allow those payments to be in place before any action is taken. The final payment in the amount outstanding on the judgment will be due January 1st, 2022.
So on this settlement of all issues in the complaint, this is with prejudice and without cost?
It is, Your Honor, and there are a couple other terms to the settlement, but for the monetary damages, that's what the agreement is.
And these payments are running without interest, is that correct?
That's correct.
Assuming they are paid timely.
Assuming they are paid timely.
All right. You can proceed with the other terms.
Your Honor, the parties have agreed that Mr. Derwin and my Coda Standards LLC will provide a list to my office no later than January 14th of each and every one of its distributors and sellers up to October 1st of 2018, so I can send a letter advising them to please remove any products bearing the name Yooper Chaga or yooperchaga.com. Mr. Derwin will approve that letter prior to January 31st, 2019, so it can be sent timely. Additionally, the parties have agreed that Mr. Derwin and my Coda Standards will release any trademark or copyright. It's my understanding the trademark has been abandoned, but he will take whatever steps necessary through an attorney to release the trademark to my clients. He also, through the state of Michigan, has an assumed name of Yooper Chaga. He will take whatever steps necessary to release that assumed name as well. Finally, Your Honor, the parties have agreed to...
The next will be by January 31, 2019.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
Finally, the parties have agreed to enter into an agreement regarding non-disparagement. The agreement will be drafted and finalized to the court with Mr. Derwin's approval prior to January 31st of this year, and will include statements made on social media to any at any public marketing events or vendor events. And the parties have also agreed as part of that court order, they will not contact each other's distributors or sellers. If they are contacted by the other party's distributor or seller, they will make no disparaging comments about the other party. For example, if Yooper Chaga Connection is contacted by one of my Kata Standards distributors, they will have the right to speak with them and to form a new contract with them, but cannot make disparaging comments against my Kata Standards or Mr. Derwin. He would agree to the same if one of their distributors were to contact him. And that, I believe, is the final term of the agreement.
And you will be drafting this disparagement agreement?
I will, Your Honor. I will send it to Mr. Derwin for his approval, and we will provide it to the court prior to January 31st.
And the parties will sign that agreement as well?
The parties will sign the agreement. I will sign on behalf of the plaintiffs as well. We will forward it to Mr. Derwin for signature, and we will form it as a court order, pending the court's approval and signature, and then.
So I would want you and your
Yes.
clients to sign that, and then as well, obviously, Mr. Derwin
Yes.
as well to sign. And the list of distributors, I think we had said in chambers, you wanted that list by January 14th
Yes.
of this year?
By email, or by regular mail is fine.
And I think we already said the release of the trademark and assumed name will be completed by January 31, 2019.
Yes.
So, Mr. Derwin, you would have to send a copy of the final paperwork. You have I think we had talked about, you wanted to have an attorney draft that so you know it's done correctly, is that right? And then you or your attorney will send a copy to Ms. Anderson so she knows it's been done by that date?
Yeah.
And I think you also indicated you were dismissing the new show cause file that's been set for hearing for January 14th.
That's correct, Your Honor. Show cause, motion was filed with this court on December 14th. We would dismiss that pursuant to the agreement that's been made. There are two pending, contempt charges for which sanctions were withheld to today's date. Those are not part of the agreement, but the newest show cause will be dismissed, and I will prepare that paperwork as well.
All right, and so does that make that?
Yes.
All right, and Mr. Banks, is it? You're not your, pardon?
Burbank.
Burbank. Your name isn't part of the case. You used your corporate name, so I don't have that. Did you hear the terms of the agreement just set forth by your attorney, sir?
I did, Your Honor.
All right. And is that your understanding of all the terms of the agreement that have been reached in this matter?
Yes.
And do you believe those terms are fair and equitable to you and Mr. Derwin?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and you want the court to enter them as the order in this case?
I do.
As a final and complete resolution of all matters?
Yes.
You understand that this agreement is with prejudice, which means that this case or any other issues that could be brought within the context of this case would not be allowed to be filed again. This is a final and binding resolution of all matters. The only thing that would be reserved for rehearing would be violations of the agreement if that occurs. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. And Mrs. Burbank, I don't know if you're part of the,
Ms. Mercer, Your
Ms.
Honor.
Mercer, is part of the corporation as
Yes, I
well?
am, Your Honor.
Okay. And you understand the terms of the agreement?
Yes, I do.
And all of the questions I just asked Mr. Burbank, do you agree with those
Yes.
as well? All right. And Mr. Derwin, have you heard all of the terms of the agreement? And you do not have counsel here today. You have had counsel in the past, and those relationships have ended. I did give you opportunity at past hearings to come here today with an attorney. You've chosen not to do so, correct?
Correct.
And I did ask you in chambers if you were ready and able to proceed here today to trial, and you had planned on doing that on your own, correct? And so you also engaged in these settlement agreements. The court did not force anybody to talk or to have any kind of settlement negotiations. We were ready to proceed to trial. But the parties and Ms. Anderson requested that you be able to spend a few minutes in conversation to discuss settlement. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And so have you entered into this agreement freely and voluntarily, sir?
Yes.
Do you feel that you've been coerced or forced in any way in entering into this agreement? And do you feel that you are able to understand it without counsel and that you understand what you're agreeing to here?
Yes.
All right. So the terms of the settlement, the monetary terms of the settlement and the monthly payments, are you confident that you will be able to make those payments, sir?
Yes.
All right. And this is something that you want the court to adopt as a final resolution of this case?
Yes.
And the other terms, including the release of the trademark, the assumed name, providing the list of distributors, the disparagement agreement, dismissing the show cause that's scheduled for later this month, you agree to all of those terms?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you also understand that this is an agreement with prejudice, which means that if you have other issues that you did bring or could have been brought within the context of this case, that you would be prohibited from being able to file them? This is a final binding resolution of all those types of issues. Do you
Yes, ma'am.
understand that as well, sir? And you want the court to accept this agreement and enter it as an order of the court?
Yes, ma'am.
You do, okay. The court then will accept the agreement as a fair and equitable resolution of all issues pending the court in this matter. And Ms. Anderson, you will put the agreement in writing, get the signature of the parties, and submit it to the court for signature.
I will, thank you.
And you'll also be preparing the disparagement agreement.
I will. I'll file the dismissal of the show cause as well.
And then the only thing we have left pending is sanctions on the 2 contempt findings that the court had entered earlier this year.
That's correct.
And your position on that.
Your Honor, there were 2 prior show cause hearings, one in July and one in September, that the defendant was found in contempt of court for violating court orders. We would ask the court, as indicated previously, to impose sanctions at this time. We would leave it to the court's discretion as to those sanctions.
And one was in July and the other was October, I think it was.
It may have been October, I believe I filed it.
And that issue.
Yes. I'm not sure what they were for.
It was for violating the court order that you remove the Yooper Chaga from the product.
Yeah, I made phone calls to actually get on some businesses I went into. If there were other businesses, if there were businesses that had it, I wasn't aware of it. I contacted them as well, and my mom contacted them to get them to show. Some of the businesses I was able to go to, local businesses around here and actually look. But I guess because Superior Chaga was on the front and it was small on the back, the website, some of them didn't understand what it meant. That had to go as well. So I do believe it's taken care of now. So
So the court, we have hearings on those things, as everybody knows. Heard from witnesses, I received exhibits at both of these hearings. I did make a specific finding of contempt at both of those hearings, and I set forth in detail what the basis for my finding was. So I'm not going to rehash those issues. Those are done and over. Mr. Derwin has been found in contempt of court for violating the court order with regard to using the Yooper Chaga name when he was prohibited from doing so on those 2 occasions. As I've advised Mr. Derwin in the past, violation of a court order, first offense is fined and punished by way of incarceration. period of incarceration. I am not going to impose any incarceration with regard to the contempt findings that the court entered. I think that these were civil matters that there were definitely some intentional violations of the court order by Mr. Derwin, but nothing to the extent that I feel incarceration is necessary or appropriate. With regard to the first offense for the contempt of court, I am going to fine Mr. Derwin the amount of $200. And with regard to the second violation of the court order, because it was a second offense, and because the facts of that violation I found to be significantly more intentional, I felt that Mr. Derwin's attempts to comply with the court order were not just negligent, they were, I think, flagrant. So I am going to assess a $500 fine on the second violation. And with regard to each of those, Mr. Derwin has 30 days to pay the first and 60 days to pay the second. Anything further, Ms. Anderson?
Your Honor, will the court be drafting that order, or would you like me to?
I think you should include that in the order that you're preparing.
Thank you.
Anything further, Mr. Derwin? All right. Well, I do want to thank the parties. We've ended here on kind of a negative note, but I do want to thank the parties. This case has been pending for quite some time, and I know that there's been some animosity on both sides. We are privileged in this community, in this state, and in this country to have the ability to settle our differences civilly in a courtroom. And that's how this matter should end. You both have your own businesses, and I trust that both of you will go on and be able to have those businesses run fruitfully and productively. I would hope that the feelings of animosity that you have now can subside, and that you can go about your business and know that you had this matter resolved, and I hope you both believe you had it resolved fairly, since it's an agreement that you all came to. I didn't impose it upon you. It's an agreement that you all came to. So if ever there was question of fairness, it should not exist here because you agreed to it. The resolution is fair. And I agree that it is fair as well, and I'm very familiar with the issues in the case. So I want to commend you for being able to reach a resolution, and wish all of you and the best of luck. And Ms. Anderson, thank you for your services in this matter. Court is in recess.
All right.
Well, there you go, guys. You just saw it first right there at the Dickinson County Courthouse. Yooper Chaga Connection has won the case against Superior Chaga, and as you saw, Superior Chaga will pay. As well, Superior Chaga was found twice in contempt of court and faced $700 in fines for that. Now, this all started over the name of Yooper Chaga. Yooper Chaga Connection had a product that they sold called Yooper Chaga. Now, when David decided that he was going to open up his own business in Upper Michigan, he decided to name his business Yooper Chaga. Obviously, that was a clash because that was the name of a product here in Kingsford for Yooper Chaga. Overall, what basically happened is Superior Chaga was selling this the Chaga with the name Yooper Chaga all over it, which again is a different company, a different product. So really, the stuff we didn't see was all behind the scenes dealing with this case. And I don't believe that any company, anyone would plead guilty or take a plea if they were indeed innocent or in the right. So the fact that David of Superior Chaga took this plea and settled out of court, I'm not surprised. After all, he was facing 2 contempt charges, and as I understand it, they were going to bring 5 more had this began today. So it was his best decision to settle out of court. You saw the amount. I think it was, what, $37,000 to be paid in about 2 years, as well as to stop talking against each other. Everything. I mean, they need to start fresh now, wipe the slate clean, and watch what you say. Anyway, I hope you liked the video. That was my first time actually filming live inside of a courtroom. I filmed for almost 2 hours, but if you saw that live stream on YouTube, that was a good 2 hours long. This video will be much shorter, and again, I do thank you so much. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's up to you. Make a comment below. What do you think about what you just saw? What do you know about Chaga? Have you had any experiences with either of these 2 companies? And yeah, you know, make sure you click that little notification bell up there so you know when I go live or post videos. If you like the video that I just posted, or you like my content or anything else I do, and you feel that you want to donate, there is a link below for my PayPal. Feel free to give $1, $2, $10, $100, whatever you decide, or nothing. Anything and everything is much appreciated. So with that, everybody, I want you to have a beautiful, great day wherever you are in the world, and, well, Happy New Year, Happy 2019 to you. Have a great day, everybody.